What is up, fantasy fans? It is time. It is football season. We are locked. We're loaded. We're ready to roll. The hat is on forward right now. It is time to turn it backwards to lock it in.
Oh, yeah.
We are talking fantasy football news. We're talking RB rankings, and we're also talking why Cinnamon Toast Crunch is not a top 10 cereal. Let's get started right now.
Hell yeah.
Oh, that was a bold take. Bold take, man.
Gentlemen, how's it going? It's true. It's not a top 10. It's maybe a top 15 cereal. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I can name 10 cereals better.
I disagree with that.
I suffered all weekend testing cereals for this pod. So, I put my work in. I carved hard this weekend for this.
Absolutely. Lots of milk. Gentlemen, how are things going? Justin, you're all settled in, ready to roll for fantasy football?
Yeah, all settled in. I didn't tell you guys this, but I had to take my little daughter to the ER yesterday, and that was
goodness,
that was really rough because she had a nice big fever, like 102. So they were scared of meningitis, but she ended up just having a cold. But that was real scary.
Yikes!
I'm glad she's doing well.
Glad she's well, man.
Chance the rancher. Right. How's the ranching going? We're in the thick of it.
We're in the thick of it, man. I was building fence today and in this 100-degree heat, it's been hot, just hot. My life is sweaty. I'm missing Lineberry though. I wish she hadn't moved away, but it is what it is.
Hey, there's a school psychology job if you want it over here. Just put it out there.
Oh my gosh. Between you and my girlfriend, I'm probably gonna move eventually. Sheesh.
It's one of those things where you miss him when he's gone, but when you're there, you're like, oh man, I should have moved back. So well, let's get into some football. There's lots of news going on, lots of stuff. We've got some rankings we want to cover with you guys, making sure you guys win your leagues. Hey, if you're joining us, subscribe, hit that like button. Let us know what you think. Leave some comments. We just want you to win your league. So let's get into some news.
What's going on?
What do we got for news, gentlemen?
Oh man, the only news that has been all over Twitter. I think it was probably followed more than the stock crash was at the very least over the last couple of days. Jeez, is the Brandon Aiyuk stuff, man. It's heating up. I about wore out my refresh button on Twitter the last couple of days trying to figure out what's going on. So we have some wild stuff. There's other training camp stuff going on, but truly the Brandon Aiyuk news is, and we don't even know, right? It's all speculative news. Apparently there's still a trade in the works. The other day it was almost for sure the Steelers. He was like 100% going to the Steelers. And then it came out today that the Browns and the Patriots were the front runners for Aiyuk, and that the Commanders had fallen out and the Steelers didn't want to match that. And then later today, it came out that the Steelers are back in on Aiyuk. There's been, all sorts of crazy things. Wide receiver for wide receiver trade. I saw Patriots Twitter was talking about Matt Judon getting pulled from practice, potentially a part of a trade for Aiyuk. We just don't know, man. We just don't know. Lineberry, you want to talk about the Christian McCaffrey comment?
Oh, gosh. So Christian McCaffrey is getting interviewed at training camp, I believe. And I think they were interviewing based on his injury. They're like, I can't remember if he pulled his hamstring or a soft tissue injury. But he referred to Brandon Aiyuk as a former teammate, which is wild to have that presence of mind. Like, I feel like that comment has to mean something for you to call someone that is on the team under a fifth-year option a former teammate, which is nuts.
Yeah, short amount of time, too. I'm a little bit just tired of the Aiyuk stuff myself, but it's just interesting. It's kind of like one of those NASCAR wrecks. You just can't turn away. You're like, well, now what? What's going on? What are they doing now? And you just don't know where he's going to land.
I like to look at car wrecks just like I do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You guys are sick. You're sick. But all that said, at least we have it's the news we want right now, right? Like it's news that we can speculate on, we can talk about it on podcasts. It's the topic of every podcast I've listened to this weekend. So we don't know, but following up with what Lineberry said, also today there came out Christian McCaffrey has a calf strain. He is not playing in the preseason at all. So something to monitor for him. I don't know if it's a thing that'll, with his usage, it could be something that pops up again, keeps him out a couple games. We're talking running back rankings, and that throw a whole wrench in my cog for rankings. So those are the two big news, and both out of 49ers camp. Do you guys have anything else that in our short turnover news wise?
Can we just talk about Arthur Smith real quick? Just about
No.
So to give context to this, as a former Arthur Smith led team, Arthur Smith last year, if you guys remember, listed our depth chart as Cordell Patterson, Tyler Algier, and then Bijan. And then we saw today Steelers depth chart, running back wise, as listed was Cordell Patterson, Jalen Warren, and then Najee, which freaking bonkers to me. So crazy.
Yeah, I'm not trusting any of it till the very end. We'll see what happens. I don't buy it.
Yeah, and that's just part of the news to keep an eye on. There are going to be a ton of reports by all of your favorite teams this week of the depth chart release, right? And then they're going to release their unofficial depth charts going into this preseason weekend. And even the Broncos, Bo Nix has hands down been, by all reports from every beat reporter, Bo Nix has been winning that job. And he comes out as the QB3 on the depth chart today. So some teams, you can't buy into it. Other teams, you're going to get hyped because Jaden Daniels was listed as the starter. You know, they release all these things. And I don't know. None of it's worth watching, but all your preseason games are worth watching. So
I think where it lies for me when I review all this stuff, this is, and I mentioned it before in another podcast, this is the second smoke season, right? When everybody's trying to make trades, we're seeing this in training camp. So we can read all this stuff, but when you watch it, when you're watching all the clips and the film and really trying to get into what's going on, just watch what the players are doing and not so much what people are telling you. I think that's the leverage. I agree with you, Chance. I think Bo Nix is easily the starter there. I think he's going to do really well this year. He's going to surprise a lot of people, in my opinion, for the Broncos. So we'll see.
Baby, Andrew Luck 2.0, Bo Nix.
Oh gosh. Oh no. He's going to retire when he's 29 and get booed out of the stadium.
Yeah, there you go. As one more piece of news, there's been a Jerry Jeudy sighting, and for the Browns, it sounds like him and Watson have been making some connection. Is this relevant, Chance, or non-relevant? Let me ask you, as a former Jerry Jeudy owner from the Broncos.
I think the Jerry Jeudy, and we had a conversation in our group, our pod text thread earlier today about whether or not Jerry Jeudy was good and comparing him to Brandon Ayuk. And as somebody who watched a lot of Jerry Jeudy snaps, he's a really good wide receiver. He was a freak in college. His route running is unbelievable. When I watched him, I had a hard time seeing a player who loved to play football. Like, he was really successful at Alabama, and then things didn't go his way in Denver. Quarterback carousel, scheme, whatever you want to say. And he just felt like a player who wasn't all in. Now, I hope that he does really well with Deshaun Watson. I like Deshaun Watson. I like Jerry Jeudy as players. I hope that they have a great connection, and I hope Jerry Jeudy can finally be who I wanted him to be since the Broncos drafted him.
I think if you get Watson and you want a decent stack for relatively cheap, I think there you go, the Watson Jeudy stack. So we'll see how it goes.
Or you could just not draft either of them and feel pretty.
Yeah,
good.
that's exactly what Justin will be doing for this offseason. So, all right, hey, that's it. I think that's it for the news. Let's jump right into the meat and potatoes. You know, I know Chance likes his steak a little stare, a little rare. Sorry, just a little bit on each side and get it done. But here we go. We're getting right into our running back ranking.
Dude, Matt is these drops are bangers right now. Matt's on top of it.
I'm figuring it out.
Early production, Matt Osen. I cannot wait to see where we take this moving forward.
I
just want buttons for drops because I'll just be pressing them the whole time.
Yeah.
So, much like we did with the quarterbacks, us three came through and we ranked all of our top 24, maybe top 25 running backs, and then we compiled them, ranked them, and I'll show you that in a second. And then we also did it against ESPN, Yahoo, and CBS, I believe. I think those three. And then I compiled all those of the rankings, and we're going to compare the two. So you'll see here as I pull it up here, the green is ours, and the red, which is wrong, is theirs. So I think it's just worth going through, and let's just talk about our rankings from the 208 and why we like these guys. I think no brainer when you get through the first six: Bijan, CMC, Breece, Barkley, and Jonathan Taylor. Now, a lot of consensus out there right away. You have CMC number one. Lineberry, it's your guy. Talk your boy up with Bijan. Why do we have Bijan here number one?
I just think his path to relevancy is so easy. So there was a Twitter account for the Falcons. Like Chance has been about this. It's like, how can the Falcons support a number one wide receiver, a number one tight end, a number one running back? Like they've done it in the past when they had Tony, they had Rodney, and they had Julio Jones. All those guys, again, there wasn't a running back that they had. That Turner was decent back then, and they had Devontae Freeman. All those guys went over 1,000 yards. All of them were RB1s, wide receiver ones, tight end ones. So, like, that gives me a little faith. What they have come out with training camp a lot of is like, hey, we're going to use this guy like Kyren. That's our plan, is to use him like Kyren. They've been moving him all around the field. Like, him and Algier have been playing together. And Dolphins joint practice today with the Falcons, their O-line was killing the Dolphins front. And their Dolphins front is decent. I don't think it's the best in the NFL by any means, but they were killing them. And it seems like Raheem Morris, like he sat Bijan a couple of days to give him rest days, almost like veteran rest days. Like it seems like they are going to lean high on him. He's not only going to be a volume play, but also I just think he is one of the top three talented guys in the NFL with Breece, with CMC. The caveat to that with the Bijan thing is I do think Bijan has the best O-line.
Yep. I think he was our pretty much consensus number one for the most part. So
he was my number three.
He was your number three. Yes, that is true. That's fair. I think we all agree, though, no later than a mid-first round for Bijan is where he's going. I personally don't have a problem taking him number one overall in the right format, but Bijan should be the guy. Now, I do want to talk about CMC a little bit. We do have him number two. Chance, you ranked him number one, as you just alluded to a little bit. Why? Tell me why you like CMC over Bijan at this level.
I just think, and it'll be really interesting. And I have Bijan shares, so I'm not just a hater for haters' sake. I have shares of Bijan in fantasy. I really hope he does well. But I just think, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what his OC change does for Bijan. To me, CMC, and then I had Breece at 2. They're both guys that have proven that they can still be hyper productive in that system, and a system that remains intact, right? Nothing's changed for those two. Breece might even get a quarterback upgrade. CMC is just a weapon, and he's been used as that weapon consistently for multiple years. And so I don't know why you wouldn't continue to ride that when the Niners are right in their Super Bowl window. And I think of the three, and Lineberry would agree with me, Bijan has the best backup running back there. I mean, Tyler Algier is no slouch as a running back. I think Tyler Algier,
that was the season.
He could be an RB1 on a number of other teams. Tyler
Cowboys,
Algier,
put him on the Cowboys.
Legit. So I just don't think that, like, I think when I think about handcuffs and I think about other running backs on the depth chart, it's easier to spell Bijan with a Tyler Algier than to take Breece out for, are you going to put in the rookie? Who's Braylon Allen? Unless CMC gets hurt, are the Niners really going to roll out, Elijah Mitchell or Jordan Mason? Are they going to roll him out casually? I don't think so. So for me, that's why I put CMC and Breece ahead of Bijan. I think Bijan has every opportunity to be RB1, but that's why he falls for me a little bit, just because of how competent his backup is.
Yeah, no, fair. That's fair. And I think in general, we're not that far off on the other group's consensus. It's onesie twosies, right? We're in pretty good shape with consensus out there.
If you leave with any three of them, I think you're pretty stumped in the first round.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I kind of want to jump out here a little bit, I do want to talk about Barkley. We are a little bit higher on Barkley than the consensus out there. And Justin, you were the highest ranked on him out of our group. Why Barkley?
Oh man, I love Saquon, man. Ever since his Penn State days, man, he's just. It feels like Penn State just has like an alien generator that they just send him out. Like Penn State should win more titles. Like they send out like Micah Parsons. They always send out a bunch of edges. They always have freak wide receivers and like freak offensive.
Height, weight, speed school, man. They're
and they're just real. Like they always say like third in the Big Ten. I just don't understand. So, anyways, with Barkley, I don't think the Giants have ever had a average O-line to say the best way possible. Their offensive line has always been terrible. I think Barkley is a super talented guy, top 5 guy talent-wise in the NFL. I love his offensive line. Like Chance has mentioned, and I have mentioned, the loss of Jason Kelce would be interesting. Jurgens, I don't think will be a crazy step down. Jason Kelce again is a Hall of Famer. Like, I mean, he's gonna have to step up. Eagles with Kellen Moore have one of the highest pace of plays, so that means a ton of plays on the field as an offense, which is more opportunities for everybody in the offense, not just Saquon. In his 4 years with Dallas, I kind of eliminate the Chargers here because Brandon Staley, I think I've explained my hate and how bad of a coach he is. The Cowboys were 6th in rushing attempts, which is super awesome. And I think a lot of people get lost in the Jalen Hurts thing. So a great analogy I've heard is it feels like DeAndre Swift or whoever's in the backfield would get them to the 1, and then Jalen Hurts would get him in. So I think Saquon is that guy to get him in from the 7, from the 8, from wherever where they're not going to be able to use Jalen Hurts as much as Chances talked about. I don't think he gets those 50 touchdowns. I think Saquon takes away from that. Dallas running backs have averaged 99 targets with Kellen Moore, which is awesome. It's those hit points when Saquon can't catch the ball. Will Shipley has been getting some run with the first team offense. I don't think there's really an excuse for them to take off Saquon. The running back 1 in Dallas's offense has got 55 targets, which is a high amount. That's about 40 catches usually. And I just think with his O-line, I just think it's going to substantially level up his play, where Saquon has been a Pro Bowler. He's had some injuries, but I just think having a great O-line just helps you as a running back so much more.
Nope, I agreed there. I don't. We mentioned this in the last podcast. I really don't think Hurts gets double-digit rushing touchdowns. I think all that goes to Barkley. They paid him for a reason, so I like him. He could easily be a top 1 to 5 running back. So, the other guy that I want to talk about a little bit in this top group, we are a little bit, I think, 1 spot lower on Gibbs compared to the consensus, and Chance, you were I think the lowest on Gibbs out of our group. Why? What's the why behind the what here?
I'll tell you why. Because if you look at our rankings and you look all the way down, not just ours, but the group average, very rarely you don't have any doubled up backfields except for one. You have one doubled up backfield, top 24, and it's Jahmyr Gibbs and it's David Montgomery. I still think David Montgomery is a really good running back. And so I just, that to me factors into how I rank Gibbs, because I don't think David Montgomery goes away. It's super awesome that they have Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a great running back, man. He's got great vision. He's explosive. But David Montgomery is still going to be a ground and pound guy. And I think they're still going to find touches. They're still going to manufacture touches for David Montgomery to keep Jahmyr Gibbs fresh, to keep him ready for explosive plays. And so when I look at 2 guys in the top 24, not that the Lions offense couldn't sustain that, because I think it can, but it just, for me, it lowers the floor for Gibbs a little bit, because there's another RB1, an RB2 in our rankings on his team.
Yeah, I think, and I'm a Gibbs fan. I think he could be a top 1 to 5 guy depending on what's going on. He is number 6 RB coming out. He's coming off number 12, so he's coming off the end of that first round. Will that pay dividends? I don't know. I kind of feel like that's where he's going to end up unless Montgomery gets injured. if there were where he is the workhorse running back, then I could think he beats the ADP significantly. So I think there might be other guys that I like at that turn better than Gibbs there too, but I still like he's to me ranked really high in this running back group. So
And like, if one thing is important, like understand, like if your leagues have PPR or full PPR, like Gibbs and Montgomery both finished top 10, and I think it was half. And like I feel like Gibbs is like the mystery box analogy, like on Family Guy, where it's like, hey, you can have the boat or the mystery box. Like the mystery box could be a boat. Like
yeah, for sure.
Like he could blow up, but like Chance said, there are some scary components of that offense.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I really like we could totally have like an Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram offense. You know, like that's totally a possibility. He's lower for me because again, and I love going back to this conversation. I like looking at who's behind these running backs, and our running back by committee is so popular in the NFL. Give me guys that are not in that committee per se. And that's why I have Henry higher, not higher than Gibbs, but I think Henry should be higher. Pacheco, they're the guy in that backfield, you know, so they're going to get more touches to me because you're not going to trust their RB2 as heavily. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah. So great segue into Henry. Just reading some stuff out of training camp. He seems to be it is a Henry versus the linebackers right now in training camp. He's knocking them over. He's challenging them. Linebackers are stepping up. And Baltimore is a defensive team, right? It's been all defense. So we have him ranked about the same that they do. Chance, I'm going to ask you about Henry. What do you like about him? What have you seen that says, hey, I want Henry on my team this year?
Well, so let me ask you this. So in the last 6 years, can you guess how many times Derrick Henry has not been an RB1 for fantasy?
Zero.
Because I guess.
Well, technically twice. He was RB14 in 2018 when he forgot the starting job. And then he was RB16 in 2021 when he only played 8 games. Right? So still like RB16, an RB2 with half a season played. The dude's just different. And I think that I don't look at Ravens wide receivers and think, oh my gosh, I got to go get a bunch of those wide receivers. They're going to be studs, unless the Rashad Bateman breakout season is this year. Oh, please give it to me, Golden Gophers. Let's go. But I just think Derrick Henry, he is going to have a nose for the end zone more so this year than he's ever had at Tennessee. That offense, that Harbaugh offense is going to get him in the red zone more than I think he's ever been. And I just don't know why you wouldn't put money on Derrick Henry to continue to be the King Henry, finding the end zone.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, Henry is 9 on the running back, 18th overall. So again, in kind of that mid-second round tier with pretty good value in my opinion. But Justin, your thoughts on Henry as well? Is that a guy that you want on your team?
I feel like we all have our niche for running back, and Chance is I want the guy that's going to touch the ball 350 times. I feel like Matt just likes the young guys, and I just like guys that catch the ball. So Henry doesn't catch the ball a ton, and it feels like they talked up. I can't remember who their that's not Gus Edwards. He's with the Chargers, but they've talked up their other guys.
Justice Hill is their RB2 that's gotten some pop.
They have gassed him up so much. I don't understand why. Because if I had Derrick Henry, I'm like, hey, we're running the ball 350 times. Yeah. We're running read option 350 times. I don't think you're going to stop at 350 times. But he is such a good value. As a second round guy, if you went running back and got Bijan or CMC and Brees to pair with Henry,
my gosh, what a fever dream!
Your team is rolling.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think the other thing is I really do feel they're going to throw Henry the ball a little bit. I don't think he's just going to be a ground and pound guy. I think they're going to scheme up some stuff to get him, a little bit of space and whatnot and do his thing. He's more than capable of catching the ball for sure. So I want to look up that Ravens depth chart for just real quick here for their running backs.
Is Justice Hill victim weight? That's my question.
Justice Hill is victim weight.
Oh no!
And then Keaton Mitchell's on the pup.
Mitchell. So it's Mitchell's one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell, the rookie Rasheen Ali, who I think I really liked Rasheen Ali. I think he came out of Troy. Justice Hill is 195 listed. He's 5'10", 195. So he is victim weight. Keaton Mitchell, also a smaller back, but he's on the PUP and won't probably be back until week 6.
Oh, wow.
And then Rashina Lee is, he's out of Marshall. Rashina Lee is out of Marshall. 5'11", 212. Dude's a bruiser.
Yeah. Yep. Mitchell was one I was thinking about. Is he's kind of that change of pace back. So, but I know he was injured last year. Moving on a little bit, we're bouncing around here a little bit just because these guys, we can talk about them all day. But Kyron, we were all about the same on Kyron, but again, Chance is down a little bit.
On,
I'm not sure why.
Guys,
I really like him, but go ahead, Chance.
You'll never guess
why you think.
You'll never guess why Kyron Williams fell in my rankings. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
I think Kyron Williams was such a fun story last year, and he was super fun to watch. 1,100 yards on the ground, like dude was a stud. But how many times have we said that about a Rams running back? Like the Rams have not had the same leading rusher for the last 5 years, right? It was Kyron Williams, it was Cam Akers, it was I got it right here. Kyron in 2023, Cam Akers in 2022 by 1 yard. He beat
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, he was their guy in 2022. 2021 regular season rushing leader was Sonny Michel. The Sonny Michel days. Yeah. And then in 2020, it was also Cam Akers, but he beat Darrell Henderson for their leading rusher by 1 yard. So like, it's just, they just are a scheme to me that screams that they can do awesome things with whoever touches the ball. I don't think, to me, Blake Corum is that different from Kyron Williams. And so if you get a hot hand scenario, if you get something where I think Blake Corum's a dude. I really like Blake Corum. I liked him in college. I think he's great on the goal line. So again, that just lowers Kyron a little bit for me. I would love to be wrong. Kyron Williams is a guy I'd love to be wrong on. But if we come back at the end of the year and he's not this high, I'm going to take my laurels for that, because Blake Corum, I think, is going to step in and rob some really valuable goal line touches from Kyron Williams.
Yeah, I kind of think how this will play out in my mind. Kyron's going to own the backfield early on, and we know Kyron's been a little bit injury prone. I get that. And Blake Corum is going to ease in, work in, and get some, and maybe it's a 60-40 split, maybe at the most by end of season. If you look at what Kyron Williams was coming out of college, and you look at what Blake Corum is, right? By just that alone, Corum's a better running back, right?
Yeah.
He just had an opportunity, right? Kyron just took the opportunity and ran with it. McVay's offense, when you go back and look at his offensive setups in the past, have always been running back by committee. Always. It's only been out of necessity that he's ran with the hot hand over the last couple of years. Yeah. So I kind of agree with you, Chance, a little bit. I just don't think yet. I think next year we're going to see a lot more split, but I'm going to roll the dice with Kyron there. It's almost like you earned it. Let's roll with it. And now we got a little bit of a backup and go. So that's my take.
I would say in Dynasty, sell your Kyron Williams. I would sell Kyron Williams in Dynasty.
Yeah.
I'm hanging on.
That's where I'm at.
Yep.
I love Kyron. He's so good.
Yeah. But that's the thing. He wasn't that good in college. He's not an explosive athlete. He's not. He's not going to fall.
So
as
who
like
was
some
the more explosive athlete at Michigan? Who was their most explosive running back?
It was Donovan Edwards.
Clearly, but so Blake Corum isn't a super explosive athlete by any means, correct?
I mean, I don't have his draft score.
Notre Dame's pretty bad.
But he was more so than Williams. He's more so than Kyron, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing with Kyron, to go off the dynasty thing, is I think Sean McVay said this like right after Todd Gurley went to the Falcons and died. He said, "I'll never pay a running back ever again." Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to ride him for 2 more years and then see like, all right, see you. Like, we're done with you. So I think he gets 1 more year, full year. I don't think Blake Corum's going to get touches. I think it's going to be like, I just don't see him get that many.
Go ahead, Chance.
I was just gonna ride this tangent for 2 more seconds. Lineberry, would you trade Kyron Williams for a 2025 first plus, knowing the running backs that are coming up in the 2025 draft?
Yeah.
And get out. I mean, if you can get a first plus in Dynasty, get out a year early and get another stud coming up this next year, Genty from BSU or Judkins
or Ollie.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
I
plenty.
would trade probably 3 of these top 10 backs for those guys.
Mhm.
For first,
Like, again, I think we're splitting hairs here a little bit, but understand, I think we all agree if you're going to draft Kyron Williams, make sure you get Corum. And redrafts right now, just get them both, stack them up. That is your best handcuff, in my opinion, outside. Again, it's close with Connor and Benson, but I really, really want this setup. If I get it and it falls to me. Now, I think I would rather have Henry at 18 than Corum at 15. Right, depending on where it fell. But if he fell to me, then I have no problems taking Williams. So, moving on, man. We could sit here and talk about all day on these guys, but I do want to bring up here a little bit.
oh, let's go, Matt. Let's go, Matt. Bring him up, Matt, because I hate this running back too.
Okay, go ahead, bring him up. Who do you want to talk about?
Matt, tell us about Josh Jacobs.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I'm worried about Josh Jacobs, guys.
Yes,
I am now. I've got him. He's not as high as what I wanted or what I thought he would be initially, but I'm starting to worry. He had an injury already in camp. He's came back and going. He's got a backup guy that I think's really good.
Is a stud. Marshawn
Yes!
Lynch.
Lloyd
Yes!
is good. So
this
I
is
know
the
we.
Marshawn Lloyd fan club right here.
Yeah, I know, Josh Jacobs, maybe he's on this revenge tour type of thing, maybe, but he's got a lot of tread, and maybe he's just that first, I don't know, maybe it's just the first part of the season. We're going to try to run him where we can. I feel like this offense is more of a high-flying offense with all those receivers, but I like Lloyd a little bit better, so I'm just saying, hey, be cautious with Josh Jacobs. He is your 12th running back, and he's going in 28th overall. So just be mindful what you're getting.
Oh, thank you.
Chance, Justin, you agree, disagree on that? You in on that?
I feel like I've been out of Josh Jacobs since he got to the Packers. Like, does anybody think AJ Dillon is a good running back?
Quadzilla, not now.
Okay, so I don't like he's listed as the RB2, which I don't think that's gonna last that long. It feels like their OC when they were talking about Lloyd, like they're like, man, he can catch the ball really well. Like he does a lot of those things really well. And like I just think Josh Jacobs had one good year. Like he just had a good year, and then he went back to be just another dude. Another thing with this offense, like there's a lot of good players in this offense. So if we're gonna count AJ Dillon, there's 3 running backs that can all get touches. There's 4 wide receivers, Wicks fan club over here, Chance too as well, and they got 2 decent tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of people to feed. Like I get drafted Jordan Love because they have a bunch of that stuff, but man, this running back, it almost feels kind of like Miami's, where there's 3 running backs that I think you get a lot of touches. Where I'm like, I just don't want any of that because it just feels like it'd be inconsistent. You got to pick your spots, which is really hard in fantasy.
Yep, agreed. Moving down the list, I do want to talk about Rachaad White. We have him lower on our list than what the others do, as we will call them. Justin, give us some little insight in Rachaad White, why we are not as big of a fan as others may be.
Can I just be blunt about this player? I don't think he's good. I just don't think he's good.
Tell us why he's Kyron Williams.
He's not. Okay, so if Kyron Williams lost Sean McVay, then I would be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So Chance talked about it like our free meeting. Like, is Rachaad White a product of Dave Canales? I think he is. It feels like the Bucs were just like check down city. Like I think the Bucs take a step back. That's not just being a Falcons fan. I just think they take a step back as an entire offense. I think Dave Canales is a dude. He resurrected Geno Smith's career. It feels like he resurrected Baker Mayfield's career. Like, feels like he knows what he's doing. Super young guy. I just think they're gonna have a lot of growing pains with this whole offense. But like, I just think he was only relevant based on his pass catching ability. I don't think he's a good running back. His yards per carry were awful. But I think Chance feels the same way I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, so let me ask this real quick, Chance. We're flipped when we look at these rankings from what we have. So they have Rachaad White quite a bit significantly higher than Zamir White. So would you rather have Zamir White or or Rashad White?
Zamir White is the running back that I would like. I liked Zamir White in college, and he played at Georgia. I thought he was good. His only obstacle to me coming out was that he was behind Josh Jacobs, who for that stretch of time also won a rushing title and was really good. So to me, I just feel like Zamir White, especially for the ADP, I get a much better running back in Zamir White, who is going to be on an offense that we saw a little bit of it coming out of the end of last year, where Rashad White is on a new offense, a kind of a new identity. I don't know what Rashad White's going to be. I have a better idea of what Zamir White's going to be. So for me, I would take Zamir White at his ADP. And I just want to circle back to that because we talked about not liking Josh Jacobs. If you look at like regular average draft position, Josh Jacobs is the RB11. And for me, RB11, that's kind of my RB dead zone from Josh Jacobs down through like Joe Mixon, RB11 through 16 for me. And that includes Rashad White, Ken Walker, who I didn't even rank in my top 24, James Cook, who Matt hates. I'm not trying to take some of these names that we can talk about, but to me, it's kind of running back dead zone. I'll go get a wide receiver in those spots because I just am real mid on a lot of those running backs.
Yeah, 30 picks later, give me Zamir White, right? For that
Absolutely.
value. It's kind of a no-brainer. So moving on, we did talk a little bit about Mixon there for just a second, and I'm like, I'm not a Mixon fan. Either one of you, Justin, what are your thoughts on Mixon?
It's such a weird offense. Like, did Dameon Pierce, like, what happened? Like, he got his job taken from Devin Singletary. I've always been kind of meh about Mixon, and he always feels like I don't want to compare him to Mike Evans because I think Mike Evans is a substantially better player, but it's like he gets like 60 yards and like 3 catches, and it's just like real average. Like, if you want to play like the consistency play, so if you drafted like HAN, like I get the Mixon play, but like he's just not a fun option for me. I think that offense will be good, but he's a person that I probably have 0 shares of.
I just want to piggyback off of your consistency. If you look at a consistency ranking, Joe Mixon, of all current running backs in the NFL, is the 6th most consistent running back in the NFL right now, as far as like average points scored per week. Like he is 6. He is consistently scoring fantasy points. And I hate it because I've never liked him. You know, he's one of those guys that I never draft because I'm like, I'm out. But he's always been a great RB2. If you had him as your RB2 in the last 3 or 4 years, you got what you wanted out of him. I just don't know. And who else is on that team? Dameon Pierce, who they kind of turned away from last year after being a darling of a rookie. Like, there's a road for Mixon to be really good. I don't see guys behind him that scare me on an offense that should be scoring points.
I think that's where you nailed it, Chance. This is what it is for me. I'm not a Mixon fan. If you take Mixon and put him on any other offense, you're not drafting him at 42 overall. He's just tied. He's tied to that Houston offense, and I'm like, yeah. And if you're going to get him, he's certainly an RB2. I just think there are better options around that area that I want later that might be better, and Zamir White being one of them, right? We just kind of talked about that, and even maybe Ramondre Stevenson. So, which kind of segues right into, we like Ramondre quite a bit better than the others. Chance, give me why you like Ramondre better than the most.
I feel like every year you end up with a running back on a bad offense that is relevant for fantasy because the quarterback either checks it down or they don't have a great wide receiving core to throw it to. And to me, that's Ramondre this year. He's going to have probably Jacoby Brissett to start the season, but he's going to be on a team with Drake May. Unless the Patriots go and get Brandon Ayuk, none of their wide receivers seem overly fantasy relevant. So Ramondre also got the bag this year. To me, he seems like a my guy for the New England Patriots. And so with that, I think they're going to feed him. And whether that's goal line stuff up the middle or even checkdowns, I think he's better at that than I used to think he was. So I think Ramondre has a clear path to being a very relevant running back on a not relevant fantasy team. He's the most relevant guy to me on the Patriots.
Yep, agreed. I do want to bring up. You'll see if you haven't picked it up already. There's a player, a running back on the others that is not on our list, and we're going to talk about him right now. But that's Walker. And Justin, talk to us, man. Why do we not lock in our top picks here?
And I just hate the Seahawks offense this year. Sorry, guys. I'm just in a big hater mood today. Me and Matt talked about this when we talked about the NFC West. Like, I think the Seahawks are going to finish with a top 5 draft pick. Their offensive line is atrocious. It is not good. Like, the only guy that I really want to draft out of the offense is DK, and like I think that stems from Chance talking about him so much. But like unknown OC, I get it. It's Grubbs. The Washington thing, again, it's not just his offense. It was Kellen DeBoer's as well. They've been together forever. I don't know what that's going to look like. It's a very unknown offense. He was an O-line coach back in the day, but their O-line is bad. Like Ken Walker is a talented dude. He's got the juice. I fully believe that. But like you can only do so much behind a bad offensive line. I think Charbonnet is a really good back as well. It just feels like that pendulum of who's gonna get more touches is just gonna swing from week to week. And it feels like it's gonna favor Charbonnet more as a pass catcher of them because they'll be behind in most games that they'll be trying to come back. I feel like Ken Walker is such a running back where he's just trying to rip off an 80-yard touchdown. And like that's not something I want to bet on every week, especially with a bad offense.
That's a fair chance.
Now, so I agree and I disagree with Lineberry on this. I'm really excited for the Seahawks offense, and I think it could be electric. It hinges on Geno Smith, and I don't know if I think he's a good quarterback yet or not. Yeah. But when I left Ken Walker, who I loved at Michigan State, K9 I loved him. I drafted him super high.
Demon Deacon.
Okay. But he went to Michigan State.
Yeah, Wake Forest though. That was his first college. He's a demon.
Okay. Thank you for
irrelevant. Moving on.
But when I didn't have him on my top 24 rankings, I just wanted to do some research as to why I didn't have that faith in him, and it came back to me to that Ryan Grubb offense and what I was looking for and what I thought they were looking for. So I went back and they had a back in Dylan Johnson, who came out. He's on the Titans offense now. Dylan Johnson was super productive for that Washington offense, right? He had like 1,100 yards, 16 touchdowns. Dude was a stud. Dylan Johnson, 5'11", 217. He's a big back. And I think that Zach Charbonnet, who's like 6'1", 214, he fits more of that Dylan Johnson role that Ryan Grubb just came from with a ton of success. And so when I look at those two running backs, Dylan Johnson-esque Zach Charbonnet, to me, I think he's going to take enough touches away and be relevant enough that Ken Walker falls out of the top 24.
And Justin's pet agrees. Mm-hmm. So it's fine. No, I'm somebody's got to run the ball in Seattle, and so he made my list for that alone. It's probably split, but I tend to be a little bit higher on their offense, not wins and losses. I tend to agree with Justin. I think they're going to lose a lot of ball games, but I think they're going to
watch.
They're going to air it out, and I want pieces of that. If
car
I can
wreck, baby.
Yes, it will be like, oh man, so. And they might lose games by 10 or by a field goal or whatever, but it's going to be high-scoring games in my opinion. So we'll see how that goes. Another player in here that I don't really want to talk about him, I just want to mention him, but Connor made both lists. And I'm not really interested in Connor. I'm more interested in his backup in Trey Benson, who did not make our list.
Matt with the young guys.
Yeah, and I am all in on Trey Benson. I think we're going to see exactly what we're going to see out of Jonathan Brooks. And what I mean by that is he may not get in early reps, but by the third of the season, you're going to have Benson and Brooks in there, getting their carries and making their mark. That's why I like them. Maybe I'm a little bit early, which I tend to be. I end up being that, oh man, I should have waited till next year just because I like them. And Justin kind of alluded, I like the young guys when I think they're going to pop, but I think you can get a lot of value there. And that's kind of why I like them. You guys' thoughts on that backfield in general? Chance, we'll start with you.
I'm just curious. Did you guys see that? Of all of the reports that have come out from training camp, a couple of the running back reports that I noticed was that the Cardinals coach came out and really highly endorsed DeMercado as their RB2 and said that Trey Benson just had a lot of work to do in pass pro and in how he kind of held himself at practice. Does that scare you at all? But I think James Conner, to me, is going to be a great value in fantasy football. I love James Conner where he's at. I think that the Cardinals are going to be in more red zone opportunities, stretching the field, getting that red zone opportunity for James Conner, who's a surprise. But does it worry you when the coach comes out and says this rookie hasn't done enough to supplant our number 2?
I can answer that for you very quickly, Chance, with the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix, who is now their number 3 quarterback. So no, it does not worry me.
Okay, low blow.
No, it doesn't worry me. I that doesn't bother me right now. I Benson's the better running back in that situation. So that's just me.
I think it's hard to, because I feel like James Conner is like such a consummate pro. Like it's really hard to compare those two. Like I don't think Trey Benson's going to play a lot this year, just because James Conner. I think they have a really good out after this year. I think they're going to run him into the ground and then probably cut him after this year. They'll save 4.5 off the cap, and that's where their out is in their contract. I think he'll have a big year, like Chance is saying. I think Trey Benson is definitely a dynasty guy. I have him in one of our dynasty leagues, and I don't think he's going to do anything for me this year. Like he's just definitely going to be a sit, and just I think he'll have spurts. Yeah, I think he'll have spurts, like because James Conner. I think Matt has alluded to it. Like he always misses like 4 to 5 games every year. So it'll be interesting to see like what he is with that time given to him.
Yeah, don't get me wrong here. He's still high on our list compared to the others. Connor is a very good back that you can get very late, and he's a touchdown guy, right? Just tends to be a touchdown machine. We'll see what that looks like with the players they have around him in that offense. But I did want to just bring up I am high on Trey Benson. So that was just a shameless plug. One player I do want to talk about again is on our list, and I don't believe is on the others, but Javonte over in Denver.
Oh, yes!
Chance,
yes!
Talk to us. Like, why? What's going on there? Is he going to be the number 1?
I think Javonte. So a couple of things. We all know Javonte suffered a real bad knee injury, a knee injury that typically takes 2 years to come back from. And we've spoken on him again because he's on one of our favorite teams. He's on my favorite team. But Lineberry is a huge Javonte Williams fan.
I can't quit him.
Me neither. He's a guy I can't quit. But when he came out of college at UNC, the dude was just one of the angriest runners in the NFL, man. He was dynamic. And then he blew out his knee, and he came back early last year. He came back way earlier than people thought he was going to come back. His yards per carry were hot garbage. He looked super inefficient. And a lot of the things coming out of Broncos training camp is that he's dropped like 17 pounds. He's looking svelte. He's looking fast. He's looking quick. And all of the hype to Jaleel McLaughlin and some of the other running backs in training camp before pads came on. So now that we're kind of back in pads, all of the reports are that Javonte Williams is looking like the guy he was, like he should look 2 years removed from that catastrophic knee injury. And I think his pass catching is super underrated. I don't necessarily think he's going to be Alvin Kamara in Sean Payton's offense, but I think that he is going to be a big part of starting the season out for Bo Nix with a really good, reliable running back. And that O-line is truly so much improved from what it has been that I think he has a ton of potential. I mean, everyone loves a Sean Payton running back. That's been a fantasy truth since Sean Payton's been in the league. It's like a Sean McVay running back. Everyone wants a Sean Payton running back. To me, Javonte is that guy this year. And I think especially at his ADP, if I end up with him as my RB2 or my RB3 with his ADP, oh man, I'm stoked about that.
Justin, add anything or want to rebuttal?
I don't have anything to add, but he's going as a 30th running back. Like that's all I need to know.
Yep. That's a great value. The last guy that I want to talk about is one of the ones I want to talk about anyway, but in just what I'm seeing, and I'm pretty excited about him in this offense, is Chase Brown. Seems to be taking over that. I watched him have a couple runs, and wow, kid looks explosive. He is going to own that backfield. I'm excited to get him. I know his ADP is going to creep up as the month moves on here, but I like Chase Brown, that offense. Agree, disagree? Justin, start with you.
I mean, my feelings on Chase Brown can be, you can go back and watch our earliest episode. I think the episode right before this, my short about Chase Brown. I think he's a steal. Like, there's a couple of those guys in those late rounds that I really love, and he is definitely one of them. Him and Javonte are two. Javonte, and probably the next guy we'll talk about are probably my three favorite late round guys.
Fair chance. Anything to add on that, Chase Brown?
No, I think he's just explosive, and I'm not a Zach Moss truther. So for me, we've spoken on this on previous pods. I think Zach Moss was a product of being the guy in Illinois, Chase Brown's alma mater, in Indianapolis. But I just don't see why Chase Brown can't be that guy. There was a report that came out from one of the Cincinnati O linemen who said, if I played fantasy football, I'd draft Chase Brown as my RB1. So when his O lineman saying that, I'm like, let's go.
Yep. Agreed. Moving on before we kind of start wrapping up here, but I do want to bring up one of Justin's guys that is not on our list, but he is very, very high on. And it's a very interesting situation that's going on with the Browns. But you wanted to talk a little bit about Ford.
Can we just talk about all the injuries in this backfield right now? So 2 guys come back from ACLs. I don't know what happened to Deontay Foreman, but he went to the hospital for a neck injury. Like, I love Nick Chubb as much as the next guy. I think he's one of the best pure running backs to ever play the game. But like, his knee injury was gross. Like, he did it a second time to his knee. Ford's price point is a steal right now. I think he's a 42nd running back, so 116 overall right now, which is crazy to me. If you can get at number 1 that late, they still have a really good O-line. They want to run the ball. Like, I just think he's such a good value at the price point. Like, there's only one option in the backfield right now because all the other guys have come back from injury.
And he is back. He had a neck injury, but he is back, but he's not practicing right now. So that's Foreman, just kind of throwing that out there. But I agree. I like as a late guy, maybe your 2-3 guy, Ford could be a certain steal. Moving on, just to kind of wrap up the show. So, Chance, I'm going to start with you. Is there a guy on either list that people are either sleeping on or overhyping that you have to draft this guy, or I'm not, like, stay clear?
So there's a guy on here that I just want to talk about because he was on your initial list as a guy you wanted to talk about that you hated, and we didn't get to him because he's on my list and he's high, and I'm stoked for him. Okay, and it's Aaron Jones for the Vikings. I am pumped for Aaron Jones for the Vikings, and Matt had him as a no-go on his list. And I just think Aaron Jones, as you know, he's with the Vikings now, and I really just think that Aaron Jones could have some of those really great Dalvin Cook seasons that Dalvin Cook had before he washed out, right? Aaron Jones is 29. I understand he's getting a little older. Before last year, again, he went from 2019 through 2022, never finished outside of the RB1 ranks. Okay. He was 9 in 2022, 12 in 2021, 6th ranked in 2020, the second RB in fantasy in 2019. I think that the way he's been used at Green Bay, there's not as much tread on his tires as people think. And I think coming into this backfield, you know, the whole Green Bay moved on from him and he's in division. I think he's going to play with a little chip on his shoulder, and he's a dynamic out of the backfield guy. I think if JJ McCarthy ends up starting some of the second half of the season, to me, Aaron Jones could be a league winner because I think he's going to get quite a bit more of those checkdowns that he got from Aaron Rodgers early in his career. And he's a smarter back. So I'm a big fan of Aaron Jones where he's at. I think he's going to be good.
Yeah, it's not so much the player in this case; it's the situation. That Vikings offense just scares me.
Mhm.
All it takes is for a few bad games, and all of a sudden they start shoving McCarthy in there, and then Justin Jefferson's mad because he's not getting the what he wants, and I can just see this thing spiraling out. And I do actually have them picked last in that division this year, so
Wow.
I am a little bit worried. I mean, he's a very good player. I like that, but I'd rather go a different direction than Aaron Jones. I just worry about that offense. So, Justin, player that you want to talk about that's like, hey, you know what? I'd like him or I dislike him. I get him or don't get him on either list, really.
I just want to talk about a backfield in general. Like, what do we do with Miami's backfield? Like, I really think Jalen Wright's going to get some run. I think Raheem Mostert's still good. He didn't get a lot of touches. And like to Chance's point, like I don't know who the one is, but whoever the two is a really good two. So I don't know who you draft. When we were doing our best ball mock drafts, I was like, this is a guy that I'll target was Achane. But like I don't know what you do in redraft with these guys. I have no idea because this offense is going to be good. They lost Robert Hunt, which scares me a little bit. They lost Connor Williams, so their interior line took a hit. But I don't know what to do with these guys.
So I agree with you. And I'm not sure. I really like HN. I do. His yards per carry last year was stupid, and I kind of feel like it could go with the hot hand. Whoever's the hot hand in the moment, it's like, yeah, there's your guy, right? So it could be right. It could be HN. It could be Mostert, even though I hope he doesn't get hurt, but I don't know. It's a hard gamble to pick up HN that high, but he has the ability to be a 1 to 5 guy running back. So I agree. It's kind of like scared money don't make money. You're going to draft him, and it's like I believe in him. It's going to go, but I don't know. Chance, what are you doing there?
I think that when we talk about that backfield, it's one of those few times where I love to listen to Coach speak, and I think that McDaniels is a guy who, when he was talking about that backfield recently, he gave Raheem Mostert the nod as like, hey, this backfield is led by Raheem. He's earned it. And I think there's going to be a regression to the mean for his touchdowns for sure. But as of right now, A-Chain is exciting and he's explosive and his ceiling is super huge. But I don't think Mostert's lost that backfield yet. I don't think he's done anything to lose being RB1 in that backfield. So for the value, I really like Mostert. And as a fun transition, if we're talking about regression to the mean and touchdowns, why don't we talk about why you hate James Cook so much?
I was just that was my next one. Yep.
Yes.
I want to talk about why you hate James Cook so much.
You're not even ranked.
I didn't even rank him. I know, and I'm going to be the odd man out. I'm telling you, I like Ray Davis. Ray Davis fits that offense to a T, in my opinion. He's a ground and pound guy that can catch the ball, and he's not bad in pass blocking. Cook has had his chance. He's been there. He's done that, and he hasn't done, in my opinion, enough for that offense. He's good, but they're looking for the next guy, and I believe that guy's Ray Davis. He could be it. My prediction. This is probably one of my bold predictions. I'm letting you a little bit early. Ray Davis out fantasy scores Cook this year. I really like it. I think it's coming. You guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but I like it.
Listen, just real quick on this. Ray Davis and James Cook are the same age. Okay, they are both 24 years old. James Cook just finished his second season.
Yep.
He had he was RB11 last year with 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had 6 touchdowns total. To me, he's another regression to the mean guy. He should positively regress to league average touchdowns. Oh man, I love your takes, Matt, but I gotta disagree with him on this one. James Cook.
This is a bold pick for me, and I think it's more I like Ray Davis, and I do think they need. Look, Josh Allen cannot be the guy that we watched it last year. He put him on the back. They were out of the playoffs, and Josh Allen's like, here, go hold my beer and go get me a cup of coffee because we're going to go to the playoffs, right? And they did on his back. So they needed a little help there, and I think Ray Davis will help now.
So when Joe Brady took over, these are his finishes: RB9, RB17, RB2, RB2, RB45, RB45, RB33. So he had 3 top 10 weeks. it just seems like Joe Brady likes to use him, and like Chance alluded to, like he didn't have a lot of rushing, but man, he catches the ball a ton. Like I think Joe Brady loves him some Cook. Like I think he's gonna eat. I think they're gonna give him the ball a lot.
Yep. I know we come at it from a fantasy point of view. I'm just looking at it from they want to get to the Super Bowl. They want to win, and they need him. So that was my thought. I might look at the end of the day. I might be eating a humble pie here. I get that, but I do really like Ray Davis. So we'll see how it goes. The last guy I want to talk about real quickly, just because it's part of my team. But are either one of you on the Swift train? Justin, you kind of alluded to this in your previous episode. Do you want any piece of him? I mean, who is the owner in this backfield? What are we going to do with him? Let's start with you, Justin.
I don't want Swift. He has burned me so many times. I felt like he had that really good game in Philadelphia, like week 1, where he was like the RB like 4, and then just like said, "Yeah, I'm done doing this." If he can't run behind the Philadelphia line, there's no way he's going to do any better behind the Bears line.
Fair chance.
Yeah, I just DeAndre Swift, to me, I got to follow that money, and I know that they went out and they signed him really early on to be there with Caleb Williams, their number 1 pick. But I kind of land with Lineberry. I think Khalil Herbert's a good back. I think Roschon Johnson is a good back. But it seems like the Bears want DeAndre Swift to work. And I don't know, man. He's a guy that I probably won't have any shares of. DeAndre Swift feels like Joe Mixon to me. I'm probably not going to have a ton of shares of DeAndre Swift. And then I'm going to try to trade for him in the middle of the season because I made a huge mistake. Like that's who DeAndre Swift is to me. So maybe I'll mix it up and I'll draft him in 1 or 2 spots just because I want to believe in him, but I don't.
As a Bear guy, here's what's going to happen. That backfield is 100% running back by committee, and they went and got depth. Okay, So they're gonna play Swift. They're gonna work him, and he's going to have a couple of games to what you alluded to, Chance, and you're gonna go, oh my gosh, why didn't I draft him? Gosh, that was a bargain. And then you're gonna go get him, or if you're smart, you'll trade him away. But you're gonna go get him, and he's gonna do absolutely nothing for you. You're gonna be frustrated by him. So the best thing to do is to stay as far away as you can from him. And I'm a Bears guy. Don't even bother.
That's the kind of fantasy insight that I am a part of this podcast for. That right there. Thank you for that great fantasy advice, Matt.
You're welcome. Well, gosh, that kind of wraps it up for our running back rankings. We got receivers, tight ends, and we're full go. I think I have 3 drafts coming up, my big money drafts coming up here in the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited about it. I hope you guys are excited too. I think you guys have some drafts coming up too. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, that's what I thought.
I just all of my leagues have been activated on Sleeper, so I'm ready to go on those.
Yeah.
My Sleeper League starting up, my money league. I'm meeting with those boys tonight to talk about it. Linebear and I have to get together and figure out what we want to do with one of our leagues from when he used to be a Caney Ridge wrestling coach. Maybe we have a spot open for Matt in that league. We can get some people.
Maybe. So it's tough. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Hey, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. Gosh, we just love talking ball. We want you to win. We want you to have those bragging rights. That's what it's all about. We give you all the inside dirt. We'll give you some strategies to win your leagues and just take advantage. So you can just tell all your, wear that trophy or wear that t-shirt or whatever it is that you do. But that's what we are all about. So until next time, I think we are going live here this Saturday, if not, or Sunday, if not another one sooner. So be ready to tune in and let's go out there and dominate our leagues. Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.